Hey, welcome to episode 49 of the File News Show, your best source of artist, tech, and creator news for the week. Today is Friday, March 22nd, and I'm your host, Ryan Selvy. On the show today, Yvonne Hansen explains how people manipulated photos before Photoshop. Pez got a facelift. YouTube is requiring creators to disclose AI use now. Turn Studio is using Illustrator to design patterns for these handcrafted ceramics. Some packaging design. Barilla is teaming up with Marie Kondo to help you ship things in your pasta boxes. And Alli Rodgers has a bucket of hyperlinks for us to go through. But we've got a bunch planned and less than an hour to do it, so let's hop right on in. All right, let's start off with some European news. Europe's largest awards honoring internet excellence is open for entries. It's called the Lovey Awards, and it's presented by the International Academy of Digital Arts and Sciences. This is the 14th year for the awards, and this year they're actually teaming up with Creative Boom. They say creatives across 25 European countries are invited to submit work across the following categories: AI, XR and Web3, apps, platforms and software, film and video, podcasts, marketing, advertising and PR, social, websites and mobile sites, and beyond. And it's actually really cool because this year they have an award for Best Responsible AI. And the entries are now open, and the deadline is April 26th for early entry. So make sure you go check it out. It's called the Lovey Awards. That's Lovie Awards, and it's 2024. In some developing news, the United States Justice Department and 17 states sued Apple yesterday. The suit targets Apple for blocking software developers and mobile gaming companies from offering better alternatives on the iPhone. The antitrust complaint was filed in New Jersey, but it says Apple used its control of the iPhone to prevent competitors from offering any other digital wallets and limited the functionality of hardware products that compete with Apple's devices. The suit actually also claims Apple has locked users in and made it difficult for users to switch out of the iPhone once they're already in the ecosystem. In an official statement from Apple, the company said the lawsuit threatens who we are and the principles that set Apple products apart in fiercely competitive markets. If successful, it would hinder our ability to create the kind of technology people expect from Apple, where hardware, software, and services intersect. They also said the lawsuit would also set a dangerous precedent, empowering a government to take a heavy hand in designing people's technology. This all might sound familiar, as the EU did something similar with Apple recently with the App Store. There's actually rumors the EU plans to announce investigations into Apple and Google's Digital Markets Act compliance in the coming days. Apple was previously accused of malicious compliance, which is basically when you find loopholes and follow the rules even though it's the worst way possible. Legislatively speaking, it's been a hard year for companies like TikTok, Apple, and Google because countries are really starting to understand the impact that technology companies have on society. Whether it's something that is a monopoly or political structure, we're going to see more and more of these lawsuits come forth as we start to understand more and more about technology and how it's impacting us as a society. We'll keep you updated as things progress with this lawsuit. It's definitely not the last we're going to hear about it. In some cool art history news, a real authentic Roman bust was discovered during a construction project in England last year, and now it's restored and on view. This comes from Rhea Nayar at Hyperlinks. Excavator operator Greg Crawley found it while completing a project in Stamford last year. It's unclear why it was buried on the property, and Greg originally thought it was a rock until he turned it over to reveal that it was a marble bust. 2 weeks later, the torso was unearthed, and an expert at Christie's dated the sculpture between the 1st and 2nd centuries. The sculpture is now on display alongside other treasures from the 9th Earl. In Adobe news, Adobe announced bringing Firefly Generative AI into Substance 3D. They announced it on Monday at the Game Developers Conference, and there are now 2 new tools available in beta for creating textures and environments. The first is text-to-texture, and it can generate photorealistic or stylized textures that are automatically seamless. It can be a range of things like fabric, wood, or even skin, and they can be applied directly onto 3D models. The second tool they announced was Generative Background, and it allows designers to generate background images to objects using text prompts. Both are available in the beta right now. Next up on the docket, we're talking about Instagram, and no, it's not dead yet. It's actually doing quite fine. Katie Natopoulos from Business Insider reported on this, and they said that Instagram beat out TikTok in growth and downloads in 2023. The New York Times reported Meta was freaking out back in 2021 because internal data was showing teens were losing interest in the platform. So much so that Meta actually launched a dedicated marketing campaign to lure them back. But Sensor Tower shows that Instagram downloads were up by 20% in 2023 compared with 2022. In contrast to TikTok's 4% year-over-year growth. I mean, that's double digits difference there. Instagram beat TikTok not only in growth, but in sheer volume of app downloads in 2023. Instagram had 767 million, while TikTok had 733 million. They believe that improving the Reels experience and launching threads are suggested reasons why the app has made such a comeback. But also TikTok is also having its own troubles outside of legal troubles. It's also getting older. Quoting Business Insider here, according to Pew Research, there are actually less young people on TikTok right now than there were on Instagram in 2014. Almost 40% of TikTok users are in their 30s and 40s. In 2014, that same age group accounted for only 20% of Instagram users. Even crazier, according to Pew survey, people aged 35 to 49 are more likely to actually upload videos than people aged 18 to 34. And perhaps most damning of all, TikTok's 30 to 49 demographic is actually growing faster than the 18 to 34 cohort. TikTok is also obsessed with shopping lately, and people just aren't into it. I have a lot of friends and people in my network that are saying that they just are getting over TikTok because they're tired of being sold things all the time. We'll see how it goes. Basically, don't count Instagram out. It's doing really well. And when you're creating your content, you're planning your content, make sure that you're also focusing on getting Instagram in there. Next up, YouTube tells creators that it must specify when they use AI. In a statement from YouTube, they said, generative AI is transforming the ways creators are expressing themselves, from storyboarding ideas to experimenting with tools that enhance the creative process. But viewers increasingly want more transparency about whether the content they're seeing is altered or synthetic. That's why today, when they posted this, we're introducing a new tool in Creator Studio requiring creators to disclose to viewers when realistic content, which is content a viewer could easily mistake for a real person, place, space, or event, is made with altered or synthetic media, including generative AI. They're not requiring creators to disclose content that is clearly unrealistic, animated, and this includes special effects or has used generative AI for production assistance. The new label is meant to strengthen the transparency with viewers and build trust between creators and their audiences. Some examples of needing to specify would be using the likeness of a realistic person, altering footage of real events or places, or generating realistic scenes. This all comes after earlier this year when there was a Drake song going around that Drake had nothing to do with, and it was blowing up on YouTube and other media platforms, and YouTube had to make a stance. So it's exciting to see that YouTube is embracing the fact that AI is ubiquitous and they can't outright ban it, but they can at least address it and hope that creators are going to acknowledge when they're using it. That way that viewers aren't deceived and we don't have to battle with misinformation as much. I don't think this is going to be a full answer to the idea of misinformation, but I do think that it's a step in the right direction. Speaking of taking in a lot of content, Peacock will let you watch 4 live streams at once for the 2024 Paris Olympics. Coverage from Lauren Forrestal at TechCrunch says that this is the first time the service has done a full live stream of all Summer Olympic events, which it just kind of makes sense, right? Like, we now are at a point where technology is around and capable to live stream these gigantic sporting events. Like, why would we not be able to just have access to all of them? It's the first standalone streaming service to offer web support for multi-view. Basically, when you want to watch 4 different events at the same time, you can just pop them up. You can either have ones that you have chosen yourself and have 4 different feeds from 4 different events that you want to see, or you can even have it cycle through and then you can lock certain parts to say, I want this to continue to be a piece of content that I want to keep watching, but you can maybe switch out these other ones because there's going to be so many events happening simultaneously. They're also incorporating some interactive buttons to have the experience be a little bit more touch and go. You can search by star athlete, which helps narrow down search to athletes that you're interested in. And there's also catch up with key plays, which lets you quickly see highlights without leaving the screen. Just for a reminder, the Olympics are going to be July 26th to August 11th, and this is on Peacock, which is owned by NBC Universal. It's exciting seeing so much access to these live events, considering things like Twitter, which is now X, have kind of been upended in the last year to kind of see where people are getting their live information. One of them being Threads, which is the meta competitor to Twitter. Threads actually launched a feature that Elon wanted to launch on X, and this is coming from Maxwell Zeff at Gizmodo. Apparently, on March 7th, Elon Musk tweeted, "Swipe right to reply, left to favorite, tap and hold for all other actions. I've been dying to do this for a year." It hasn't been implemented yet, but on this Wednesday, Meta began testing the swiping feature on Threads. On a Threads post, he said, "New thing we're testing out. Swipe to like or tell us you're not interested in the post. It's an easy way to let us know what you want to see more on your feed." Liking or disliking content gives users more control over their algorithm than other meta properties like Instagram or Facebook, where the algorithm's mostly invisible. Threads has been rolling out a lot of new features in recent weeks. Adam Mosseri, who is head of Instagram, announced that trending topics were coming to the platform, which came to a surprise to me because actually Threads has spoken out and saying that they don't want to include news or politics on their platform. It gets too messy, which is something that Twitter was actually really popular for. Moderation is really tough with all these new platforms. My favorite one of them all, Blue Sky, which I talk about a lot, actually launched something called Ozone like a week ago. And this is basically an open sourced moderation. So basically anyone can take their own algorithm of moderation and apply it to their service. If you want to build your own app and use the protocol that Blue Sky has developed to then kind of funnel into your app and use their service, you can also create the moderation part of the algorithm that you want to. So it's really interesting seeing all of these different services battle. In this case, last story, we were obviously talking about Threads versus Twitter. I am always rooting for Blue Sky because I love Blue Sky, but it's interesting to see how they're all kind of copying each other, taking jabs at each other, but also they all have different visions for what the microblogging, tweeting sense of the internet is going to look like moving forward. Those are the news-related headlines that I have for this week, and we got a lot more planned for you today. But I do want to take a moment to plug the fact that File New is also a podcast. You can find this episode and all the other episodes wherever you listen to podcasts, like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Just search for the File New Show, and it should pop up. It has the same branding. It's all purple and what have you. But with that being said, let's hop on into our next segment. All right, next up, we have our section of the show called Thoughts, and this is where I encourage viewers of both the live stream and the podcast to chime in about certain creative topics I come across. Now, this is broadcasting at our usual time, which is 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, but between you and me, this is a pre-recorded episode. I wonder if you've caught those cuts yet. I'm excited to see what the chatters have to say about this when I get back to my desk. But that said, YouTube chat is easier to backtrack and see. So if you're on Behance, I'd love to see you on the YouTube side for this segment, or just leave a comment on this video. Or you can always email me at filenewshow@gmail.com. But I digress. Let's hop on into thoughts. First up is a clip from the podcast The Rest is Entertainment, and it's a show hosted by Richard Osman and Marina Hyde. And they pull back the curtain on television, movies, and journalism, and more. I came across this clip on Instagram Reels where Marina is talking about a new struggle showrunners are facing. Let's check it out.
So many showrunners were given notes by the streaming channels that they say, this isn't second screen enough. And what they mean is the viewer is expected to be on their phone, kind of half doing something else while your crime drama or whatever is playing. And you just can't make it as complicated as you have because they're not going to understand it because they're only going to be half concentrating on your show. I mean, when you think how much it costs to make one of these things, and what you're saying is, yeah, you're sort of competing with someone's social media account and they're going to have half an ear and half an eye on you. They're going to watch you with subtitles. And please, you've got to have to repeat the story and the key plot details several times so that they definitely get them. That is super depressing.
All right, this is an interesting tidbit because I could be a creator for either one of those things, the thing on the phone or the thing on the TV. And it's interesting because there has been an attempt to embrace this before with like AR on your phone or XR on your phone. There was also the failed console Wii U, which was between the Wii and the Switch. A lot of people did not have it. I had it. But it really kind of played with this idea of more than one screen. But in their case, they had it where there was like a zombie game and you could look down at your inventory and your backpack on the screen that you held in the game without pausing the menu, and it was really cool. But basically it didn't take off. It was hard to juggle. A lot of games didn't develop for it. At the same time, I don't know if this is entirely a new thing. Like, soap operas have been aware of this for decades, where plot points kind of just continuously pop up over and over again because they know that it's going to be playing in the background during the day as people are doing things around the house. But then there are also certain shows that I have to actively watch, like back when Game of Thrones was coming out or Succession was coming out, and I like to watch things as I work, and those were the shows that I couldn't because I had to pay attention to them. I think there's room for both, and I say that especially as a streamer because I remember Anna Davis-Court, who's also a streamer, once described it as ambient entertainment, and it got really big, especially during COVID, where it was almost like company, and you can kind of have something going on while you're working. I don't think it necessarily detracts from entertainment. I do think that it can be a struggle because everyone wants their show to be a Game of Thrones or a Succession, and I get that allure, I get that feeling. I definitely also don't think that everything should be ambient entertainment and everything needs to be an interaction between the two. I do enjoy watching live events and pulling up live social networks and seeing that relationship as I'm seeing what people are talking about while I'm watching it. So I think it's a healthy balance. But what do you guys think? Is it the worst thing to ever happen and we're doomed because we can't just focus on a TV show? Or is it something that we should maybe embrace even more and also categorize as either ambient entertainment where it's meant to be passive, or is it something that like we need to have a Wii U situation where we need to develop more things to interact with what's on screen? Next on Thoughts, we have a clip from a new marketing campaign with pasta maker Barilla. I teased this at the beginning of the show, but they teamed up with famous organizer Marie Kondo to repurpose their packaging as multi-purpose for mailing things. Let's take a look.
Hello, I'm Maria Kondo. This spaghetti pack is perfect for lunch together.
忘れますよね。そうそうそう、なんかパスタになんか。
But also for packing these clothes, I sold in a second-hand platform.
All right, okay, I'm all for sustainability. I'm also down to clown with cool ways to fold things into tight spaces. But let's get one thing straight. No Barilla box has ever been that crisp. I mean, they're always kind of looking like the person drop kicked them onto the shelves, at least in any grocery store that I've ever been in. And two, I just want to hear the response of people getting Etsy orders when they're ordering like a vintage sweatshirt and then they think that they're getting pasta in the mail. Like, I guess you could also maybe like use them for presents, but then people would unwrap it and be like, "Oh, you got me pasta." It's an interesting take. They launched the whole campaign for Global Recycling Day, but that kind of to me just feels like greenwashing. I mean, there's countless stories telling us recycling really isn't what it's chopped up to be. So I do respect the idea of like making a different use case that isn't just recycle your boxes. But I would like to see Barilla maybe embrace their packaging as something like more compostable. But then again, I don't know, like that maybe that's not as realistic because I am someone who lives in a city and I can't really compost much. And so endorsing reusing things is also always good. What do you guys think? Is it nice to see them trying to come up with solutions for more reasons for their packaging? Or is it just cringe and it's like you're just doing this as a marketing campaign? All right, and the last thing is about YouTube and their role in the creator economy. Carissa Bell for Engadget did a really great write-up about this. YouTube is basically the most dominant social media platform by a landslide. And while it's a ubiquitous idea now, they were actually also the first ones to come up with a partner program to creators way back in 2007. Now, to get in the time machine, mind you, MySpace was still chugging along and Facebook still required like an EDU email to sign up back then. And they were introducing an idea because they had just been acquired by Google the year before to suddenly give back to the creators that were creating things on their website. And between 2006 and 2009, video viewership doubled. And by 2009, YouTube actually expanded the program to start giving money to viral videos that were eligible. So then you had these viral videos that were eligible, and you also had people in the partner program. But then a few more years passed, and by 2012, they opened up their partner program to everybody. And as with all things on the internet, things got scammy. People started to really take advantage of the ways that they could get money for different videos, and then they had to reel it back into 2017. But all that considered, the partner program is still going strong, and there are now actually more than 3 million channels in the partner program. And the company also paid creators $70 billion with a B in the last 3 years. Obviously, prices fluctuate wildly as to payouts for different creators, but now there's plenty of places with partner programs that you can also complement with YouTube. I mean, Snapchat famously was paying out heavily for a little bit in the last few years, far past when I thought anyone was using Snapchat. Instagram had been paying a little bit of something, and X also recently introduced splitting the revenue of ads with creators. We're constantly battling with making content for these platforms for free, and they're making a lot of money off of our data and ads. But this is also kind of a nice solution, but is it the best option in the solution? Are we better off with partner programs, or is it making more creators burn out and drive themselves into the ground for pennies? What do you guys think? I'm split. Part of me is really happy about it, and I love the fact that they are giving back to creators, but another part of me is like, it still is quite an unbalanced relationship, and it's also not entirely reliable, as a lot of kids are really looking into becoming a YouTube star as a career. We talked about that a little bit last week or the week before. But that's enough about things that you can experience on your screens. Let's go and hop into some things that you can experience in real life with Ticketbooth. All right, and then we have Ticketbooth, which is a great time to go over events that are coming up in the art world or are actively going on. And the very first one is actually Adobe Summit, and it's going to be in Las Vegas, March 26th to 28th, so it's just around the corner. And you can explore the latest digital trends and expand your skill set with more than 200 sessions and hands-on labs across 12 different tracks. And that includes B2B marketing, customer journey management, generative AI, content management, commerce, and more. And actually, even Shaq is hosting Adobe Sneaks, so that'll be really interesting to see. We also have the CEO speaking of Adobe. It's a really informative, great time. Check it out on Adobe Summit. Also coming from Passion Fruit, which is a really great newsletter for creators. I like to check it all the time. They also just have a great website. They break down if VidCon is worth your time. John Michael Bond did a really good guide for navigating VidCon, and VidCon actually has 3 events this year. They have Anaheim, June 26th to 29th, Mexico, which is August 9th to 11th, and then Baltimore from 26th to 29th. And it breaks down the prices, the classes available, streaming access, the classes that they recommend to attend. They also break down lodging, transportation, and more. If it's something that you're interested in, either watching online or attending in real life, I definitely recommend that you go and you read through everything they have to say. It's very honest. It's very real, especially with different budgets in mind, and they're always really good at breaking things down. They actually also had something for South by Southwest a few weeks ago, so check it out. It's Passion Fruit, and their URL is Passion Fruit, but the IT of fruit is the ., so it's passionfruit.it, and it's available for free online. And then last up, we have Artsy's publication, and they published 5 standout shows to see at small galleries this March, and this is all across the world. The first one is in Bangkok, and it's at the Richard Koh Fine Art Museum, and it's a Paul Rest Do Chakasan's show. Then there's also a show in Brooklyn at the Amos Ino Gallery, and it's for Nishiki Sugawara Beda. Then we have the London show at the JC Gallery called 7 Americans. Then we have a Philadelphia show at the Pentimenti Gallery, and it's for Jackie Milad, Undoing the Knotted Parts. And then finally, they have a Berlin show at Bode, which is for Senziri Matsuwaki Maricela, and the show is called I Write Stitch What I Like. So check those out. They have full write-ups about the show and some great pictures of it. I recommend you seeing a show if you can, especially supporting these smaller galleries. But maybe you're too busy to go see a show right now and you just got a lot of work on your plate. So let's hop on into resources. Our first resource of the week is understandingaccessibility.com, and it's a great website that's a tool for web designers and honestly designers just in general. You can explore color, typefaces, interactions, layouts, and more, and understand what makes them accessible and how you can apply them to your designs. I think that it's super important to design with accessibility in mind. I know a few weeks ago we spoke about the bird sounds in the Tokyo Metro, or the MasterCard's physical cards that you can tell a difference for if you're visually impaired. I think it's really important to approach your projects with accessibility in mind, because you never know who's going to be interacting with the things that you're making, or whether that's entertainment or physical products, or maybe a web design where you don't want something to be lost on someone just because they have a different perception of the world. Did you know that you could actually take this and you can test for things like color blindness without leaving Photoshop? I actually want to show you guys here. It's actually really easy. See, you can just pull up a document, doesn't matter what it is, if it's a picture or something that you're designing, and all you have to do is you just have to go to View, Proof Setup, and then you can see all the way down here on the bottom, you can switch between different color blindness, because there's different eyesights for different types of colorblind. And as you flip through them, you can actually see how your work is perceived to people with different color patterns in their eyes. Of course, this is just one of the tools that you can use in your toolkit to make things more accessible. I say check out this website and see other ways that you can apply accessibility to your designs. All right, this next one is for designers who want to build their portfolio, but they don't necessarily have the client work yet. It's important to have a full portfolio with believable work. Even if it's not for real clients, people want to see real work, or at least perceived real work. Don't use lorem ipsum or just blah, 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 blah on the keyboard. As soon as you see that, it kind of discredits the work and makes the work less valuable, even though it's still design. I know it's silly, but it's a head thing. So where do you find the ideas and inspiration to come up with these projects? Introducing LogoCore, which is a creative studio recognized for their identity design course, and they have a few free resources online, one of them being a directory of fake creative briefs. You can explore their different buckets with fake emails and assets included, and then you can create something that looks real for your portfolio, and you can also juggle the idea of having a client's expectations and your expectations and trying to meet in the middle. Check it out, and I would love to see if you guys end up making anything. They have all different types of fields, so it's not all just t-shirts or for branding. You can really tailor it to whatever you want your portfolio to reflect. I always tell people, don't include things in your portfolio that you don't want to do, because if someone sees something that you have done, they will assume that you want to do more of it, and you will be asked to do more of it. So if you don't want to do something, don't put it in your portfolio. And then finally, I have something for you. Please don't replace me, but there's finally a news aggregator that is totally personalized to you. You can build a personalized newsletter of your favorite content delivered daily, and they say it's always free. You can check it out at usedigest.com. It links things like your weather, your Instagram, your calendar, your YouTube, your TikTok, and more, and curates it into an email that they can send to you of curated content every single day. But like I said, don't replace me, because if you replace me, you won't get fun things like this section with Alli, where she just has all these crazy hyperlinks for you, which is always one of my favorite parts of the show. So I'm happy to go pass it over to Alli for Hyperlinks.
Hi, Ryan. Thank you for letting me host Hyperlinks again this week. The first link I want to take everyone to is Daily Delights, delights.flakes.com. Flakes, or I don't know how you say it. Delights.flakes.com. We'll say that. And it's a curation of links about art, design, development, picked somewhat daily by Felix Pult, art director and digital designer. I don't know. It's really fun. We here at File New always love a good curation website, just a way to find interesting, cool sites or businesses or people, creators that you may not stumble on your own path through the internet. So this is just another really cool site that's probably worth just like checking out once a day. The next website is Pleuvoir. Pleuvoir.com. That means rain in French, I think. Pleuvoir is a rain simulator, and I just love that. I love the sound of rain. You can choose like the intensity of the rain or like the types of rain. Like you have just plain rain or rain on a roof or like a gale. Oh, I love that they use the word gale. That's so specific. And thunderstorm, which is, I think, one of the top 2 best types of rain. The other in the top 2 category would be warm rain, like that slightly warm rain, like you're not cold. So great. And you can have all 4 going at the same time, play with the volume, the thunder. That's just so relaxing to me. What is this? Oh, that's so nice. You can have sounds of a cozy cafe going. And you can also have sounds of leaves in the wind. I literally feel so soothed right now. I wonder if you can have this playing like all night at night. I might try it. Oh my God. Okay, well, we can't stay here in the rain forever. Okay, the next website, I'm super psyched. I found this one on the subreddit, Internet is Beautiful. People have been asking for a new Stumble Upon. If you're a millennial, you probably remember, I can't remember if it was a website or a Tumblr, but it was called Stumble Upon. And basically you could just go to this website and click like stumble, and it would take you to a random website throughout the internet. It just felt so fun. It represented this totally different digital era where things just weren't purely about commerce and social media. So someone on Reddit posted that they built a new Stumble Upon. It's actually called stumbling.lol. Let's just go there. So there's 5 categories: animals, humor, games, bizarre, and useless. You can select one, and I actually think multiples at a time to like generate websites. Okay. So first one we got, National Wildlife Federation Wildlife Guide. That's super cute. Let's see. You can stumble like multiple times, and what's really nice is it actually just collects the URLs as you go. So like this one, I don't know what Zooborns is, but we're about to find out. Oh, I guess this is about like babies being born at zoos. Oh, wow. Watch the joyous moment. A rare Rothschild giraffe gives birth. We can't watch it. We can't show it on the stream. Okay, let's try bizarre. Let's try the bizarre category. Crouton. Oh, I stumbled upon this earlier, and I'm so psyched to stumble again. It's called crouton.net. It is literally just a crouton, and I love that. I love a website like that. Okay. Binary piano. Ooh. All right, well, that's really cute and fun. So try out Stumbling. I think it's very cute. A new way to experience the internet. Also, it's kind of a joke, but when you click useless and you stumble, you only get stumbling, which I think is really funny. Love a sense of humor in a website. Okay, so I think this is a website. I might have found it on Stumbling or maybe somewhere else. It is just super funny, like stress relief, time relief. It's called koalastothemax.com. And the way it works is like when you move your cursor over one of the circles, it multiplies. So just watch. I don't know. This is just like so relaxing to me. And you can go really fast. Like I'm starting to really kind of speed up. And there's just infinite circles. And you might be noticing an image is emerging. These are not just random. This is a picture of a koala. Why? I don't know. Like, why does it exist? Why is it a koala? But like sometimes that's just really fun. And it's a different picture of a koala every time. I've done it like a few times now. Our next website is the opposite of stumbling across the internet or like spending your time developing a weird koala image. It's called todothing.replit.app. It's just a very basic to-do list, but what's really nice is you don't have to like log in, sign up. It's free, it's ad-free, and you can just start entering tasks like text Ryan, work on the stream, write next week's hyperlinks. I will say you could see it as a drawback, but I actually think for someone like me who can procrastinate, it's an incentive. It only logs your tasks for an hour. So this is something you really only want to use when you have like a tight deadline and you want to get like a lot done in one burst. Because after an hour, as it says on the website, if you don't mark the task done, we'll assume it's not important enough and it will disappear on its own. So a bit of tough love from this to-do list. But yeah, let's like, once you complete a task, it also tells you how long it took you to do it, which I think is cool. I don't know. I'm big on to-do lists. I usually use Todoist, but I think this is also a really good option. All right. This one's super random. It's called oculi-mundi.com. It is, quote, a new platform for exploring antique maps of the earth and skies and the history of human exploration. Where are we? What lies beyond? The earth, oceans, and cosmos are yours to explore. What will you discover? Just the interface is super pretty. So you basically just click around inside the collection and it has all these maps that seem to be scanned like in their original book form. Yeah, you can zoom in. So like, yeah, this is one crazy map. I'll say this. Maps used to be a lot more fun. Google Maps doesn't have nearly this many cherubs. I don't think Google Maps has a single cherub. But look at all these cuties protecting the world or something like that. I'm going to be honest. I have no idea what this is a map of. That's not for me to say, you know? But that's fun. I just think it's fun. It's cool to see cool old art. Our next website is thisbandemo.com. I'm just going to check out some of my faves, especially faves of my youth when I was a little more into emo music. Panic at the Disco. Wow, Panic at the Disco is not an emo band. The emo phase for a night band. Wow, that is so harsh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I know. My Chemical Romance. Did I spell chemical right? We'll see. Well, that's not right. My Chemical Romance is not an emo band. Unlike high school, emo has a history longer than 4 years. That's so mean. Okay, American Football. A band introduced to me in music theory class by a very cool guitar guy. American Football is an emo band. Yes. In Mike Kinsella we trust. So if you're like me and clearly you thought like all these bands you listened to were emo, you may need to use this website.
What is emo?
What is emo? Yeah. Okay. So, and for those of you that don't know, emo is short for emotional. To me, it's always meant just like moody music, but let's like Google it just to make sure. Okay, let's go to the Wikipedia. Emo is a music genre characterized by emotional, often confessional lyrics. It emerged as a style of hardcore punk and post-hardcore from the mid-1980s Washington, D.C. hardcore scene. Wow, I did not think emo emerged from our nation's great capital. It was known as emotional hardcore emo core. Some bands, including My Chemical Romance and Panic at the Disco, rejecting the emo label because of social stigma and controversy surrounding it. So what did they call themselves? How did they call out the two people I was sure were emo? Wait, Panic at the Disco, pop rock. Oh, that makes sense. I see how Panic at the Disco is pop rock. All right, that's enough about emo music and what is or isn't emo. Okay, our next site is hosted on the Internet Archive. If you don't know what the Internet Archive is, you should. It's what it sounds like. It's an archive of the internet, and it's a really good place to go and find, like, it takes snapshots of websites at different moments in time to try to preserve them, which is really important, especially, like, you know, a website can just be, like, yanked off the internet. We've seen that happen to publications that have folded, and the Internet Archive tries its best to preserve the digital world. It's a really great place to see, like, a tweet that someone deleted that you want to read. That's what I've used it for. It also hosts the Prelinger Archives, which are a really, really beautiful set of, like, royalty-free old videos that you can use truly for any way you want. But anyways, we're here to talk about something really cool they're hosting. It's a KidPix emulator. KidPix was like an art software on basically any school computer in the 90s and early 2000s. And now you can play it just on the Internet Archive. So I'm going to give it a shot. Ryan remembers it more than I do, but it's starting to come back to me now that I'm looking at it. Oh, I do remember this. Aw, this makes me happy. If you've ever felt like a longing for Photoshop, KidPix is probably why. Oh, it's a stamp. That's so cute. Oh my God. Oh gosh. Yeah. Oh, it has sounds. Wow, freaky. That was gorgeous. I want to hear the question mark sound. Huh? I wonder who recorded that. Okay, so this is just so fun. Oh, I think I remember the stamps. Wait, I remember the stamps so much. Everyone should just go play this. Even if you don't think you remember playing it, you are probably like me and you just have a bad memory. And, like, I promise when you get to the stamps, you're going to lose it. I'm, like, feeling a lot right now. Okay, so, and then if you go to the paintbrush, there's these really, fun, weird effects. I could play this for hours. You got to use this for the art for the show this week.
That'd be fun.
What is the card? Truck? Interesting. Oh, no. Oh, wait, what is the baby? Whoa. Oh, it's an undo.
Oh, no.
Right?
Yeah, but it just toggles back and forth between the one most recent undo.
Oh, it's an undo with the memory of only 2 actions. But you got to appreciate the sound effect. What is the blender? Well, that was shocking. I mean, that was crazy. Did anyone see that coming? This is nuts. But, like, why isn't Instagram this fun? Will someone ask? You know what is this fun? Photoshop. Hey. Is it just me or have I made something so beautiful? Okay, we got to go to the next website. I don't want to, though. Okay, for our last hyperlinks of the day, we're giving you a little brain food, stimulate that noggin. It's called readsomething.great.com. It's what it sounds like. The tagline is timeless articles from the belly of the internet. Manually curated, served 5 at a time. I love curation sites. It's just, there's so much out there that curation becomes really important. It helps me, like, find things I don't get served up on my normal algorithm. My algorithm is mostly slime right now. If you know, you know. But a lot of the, like, reading suggestion websites I go to, they're updated weekly or daily. I really like Read Something Great because every time you refresh, you get 5 new articles. So it's not like a daily thing. It's just like there's 5 and I guess they get randomly remixed. All right. I got to go before I make any more dumb jokes. Back to you, Ryan.
All right. Thanks, Alli. I always really like being able to record with Alli. We go back and forth over different ideas and we work through the segments. And I was really excited to get her into KidPix because KidPix is such a big part of my journey into being a motion designer that I knew that she probably had some sort of memory of it, but I wasn't entirely sure if she had the same relationship with it. And it was cool to see. But now we're moving on to Font of the Week. So font of the week is a font that we choose every single week that I think is notable. They're all available on Adobe Fonts, which is included in your Creative Cloud membership. The font of the week this week is TT Nook Serif, and it's designed by Vika Usmanova from TypeType. It's an experimental font family that includes a high contrast serif, TT Nooks, and an upright italic TT Nook script. They say on their site that the main subfamily is TT Nooks, which is a stylish high contrast serif with a light touch of self-centeredness. They say if TT Nooks were a person, it would be an elegant lady with an independent and firm personality. Gotta love it. They say that the serifs in TT Nooks stand out especially visibly thanks to their geometric shape that resembles slippers. I love how type designers describe their own work. Each of the subfamilies include 4 weights, which are light, regular, bold, and black. In light faces, TT Nook script is more humanist and has artifacts inherent to the continuous movements of a flat pen. And in bold faces, TT Nook script has a very dense and dynamic typing rhythm, and the shape of the letters begins to geometrize. Geometrize is what they say. Geometrize. Geometrize. Geometrize? Is it geometrize? Regardless, it's a cool font. Check it out. This week for Rebrand, we're exploring the most expensive rebrands, and this is a post that was on Logo Motivations, a great Instagram account. They say that Citibank had a logo redesign of $1.5 million, and a fun fact about it was Paula Scher sketched the logo in a meeting with Citibank directors. They also have a few other examples. They have the BBC logo, which was $1.8 million, and it included the logo design and the visual brand identity. They have really egregious amounts of money, like the BP logo, which was $210 million. Now on to something a little bit more candy-coated. Let's talk about the Pez rebrand. The Pez rebrand was done by Type Jockeys and Zunder. It focuses on stronger lines for more readability. On a side note, there's a typo on their site for readability, which is funny since it's readability. And the Pez's in the logo are less Pez-like, but helps with legibility, especially at small scales. You can see that the corners of the Pez's, or whatever you call them, the Pez, are less round, they're angled edges, but it helps with that legibility. And overall, I think it's a nice tune-up. It's nothing too over the top, but I think it helps extend the brand without having to reinvent the wheel. And then we have Bath & Body Works Bridgerton collaboration. This was brought to my attention from Bill McCool at Dieline. Starting March 25th, they will begin selling products inspired by Netflix Bridgerton. The packaging is drenched in gold with scripted typefaces integrated with geometric sans serifs. It feels expensive, but not all the way. Bill actually mentioned in his write-up that it would be nice to see a collection of this ilk get bottled up in glass and look a little bit more period appropriate. Maurice Cooper, Chief Customer Officer at Bath & Body Works, said in a press release, "At Bath & Body Works, we aim to forever transform the viewing experience for millions of Netflix fans by allowing the power of fragrance to transport them like never before into their favorite stories and scenes. Scent is the most evocative of all our senses. It heightens our emotions, experiences, and memories, and we want to take fandom for all of those who love Bath & Body Works and Netflix to new levels through this inspiring new partnership." What do you guys think? Will you try it? When was the last time you were in a Bath & Body Works? The only one I can think of is next to a Hot Topic, and it's in my mall from my hometown that I don't know if it is still there, if they've bulldozed it yet. This week in Spotlight, we have a really cool ceramic artist who's using Illustrator for patterns on top of handmade ceramics. It is Turn Studio. It is Kenny Singh. They are in California, and they have a clip of something that I thought was really cool. So let's check it out. this isn't the only example of them using this technique. Their page is actually filled with a bunch of really cool projects that I really suggest you check out. It's turn.studio on Instagram. I love the idea of taking something that is so handmade and then being able to add an extra element on top of it that is digital without taking away the handmade feel. All of his works makes me want to learn ceramics myself and be able to incorporate some digital aspects of my life into physical aspects. But for now, I'll just have to live vicariously through his Instagram posts. And then we have a really cool history lesson from Yvonne Hansen all about altering photos way before Photoshop. This is something I always kind of wondered about, but never really knew the answer. And she does a really good job at not only telling you how it's done, but showing you how it's done as well.
Did you know that these vintage portraits are retouched? You may have seen photos from this era and marveled at how perfect everyone looked. How could someone be so naturally flawless? They weren't. Photo retouchers of the time used specially designed colored pencils applied directly to the film negative, with a round and round motion meant to blend naturally with skin texture. Because colors are reversed on a photographic negative, touch-ups were made with the same color that would appear once the photo was printed. Red spots and blemishes would be green on the negative, so they'd be canceled out by drawing over them with a red pencil. Under eye bags would need a purple pencil, and yellow teeth a yellow pencil. This technique was a lot simpler for black and white images. You would need a set of pencils in various shades of gray. Under eyes could be brightened and blemishes alleviated by applying a darker shade of gray to the negative in problem areas. Once the image was printed, the tones would be flipped and you would wind up with a brighter complexion. This practice was famously abused to exaggerate the waist-cinching effects of corsetry in the Victorian era.
Isn't that really cool? I had no idea. Anyway, that's all our time for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching or listening. We will be back next week. It'll be at a different time, though. It'll be at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and we will be going through all the regular things. Just remember that you can watch this as a live stream or a replay on YouTube. It also live streams to Behance every week. And then, of course, we also have our podcast, which is just this episode, but on your podcasting platforms like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Do me a favor, give me a comment, tell me your favorite part of the show, any thoughts that you might have. And then also, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube and give it 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. Once again, I'm Ryan Selvy. Thanks for watching. Thank you to Alli Rodgers, who was a producer and also had her segment. And thank you to everyone who let us use their work as showcased on the show. It's always really good to be able to spotlight these creators and make sure you go support them as well. I will see you all next week. Bye.